I view us as stewards of the culture. I think that's extremely important.
Welcome to the HR Like a Boss video series. If it resonates with you, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, or sharing with a friend. In the description, you'll find social media links and where to listen to the entire podcast interview. I've embarked on a journey to get to know amazingly awesome HR and business professionals. These conversations create the foundation for my book about what it takes to do HR like a boss. On today's episode, I am delighted to be joined by Cindy Torres Essell. Cindy is the CHRO, so Chief Human Resources Officer at Heinen, which is one of our delightful local employers that does an amazing job providing food to the families of Northeast Ohio and beyond. She also got her bachelor's from Baldwin-Wallace, and she has her JD from the University of Akron. So Cindy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Through your maturation in your career and obviously getting your law degree and working in the various factors or opportunities you've had, how would you describe the purpose of human resources in the roles that you've had?
So, I think human resources is really in an interesting position in the organization, really unlike any other, because you're really stewards. I view us as stewards of the culture. I think that's extremely important. At a place like Heinen's, that's incredibly important. We have a very associate or employee first culture, and that's, HR, part of our role is to steer that and be stewards of that. But I've certainly been a steward of the culture in other organizations where I've worked from an HR perspective. I think that means a few things. HR is there to serve managers, right? And we do obviously things that right? We pay people through payroll, we do policies and all those things, but you're really giving guidance and consulting with managers all the time on issues they're having, driving employee performance, those sorts of things. But you're also serving in that role with associates or individual employees. And so I think that's unique for HR. You're really serving, it's a servant leadership in particular type of role across the organization. And if you're doing it right, you're really in a trusted advisor position with the senior executives. And I use trusted advisor a lot with my team. That's something we talk about all the time, because if you're not in that seat and serving in a very strategic, engaged in the business kind of way, you can't be a good steward of the culture. You can't serve managers. You can't serve employees if you don't have the position in the organization to do that.
One of the items that we wrote in the book is about HR not being the department that just is there when you're going to get hired or fired, so that when you're
Correct.
in the room or in your case in the grocery store, that all of a sudden, oh gosh, Cindy's here, look out,
Right.
as opposed to, oh, I want to talk to you because I have an issue, or the last
Right.
time we talked about it, you listened, you heard me out, and we made a change, and I saw the impact of that. So
Yep. And I talk about that all the time. We shouldn't just be visiting when something's going wrong or there's a problem. We need to just be there in general. I don't want people to say, why is she here? What's she doing? Why is her team here? What's going on? That's not, we want to be people happy to see us when we're there, just even if it's just to say, hey.
That I believe that every person out there that has a job identifies in some way with that job, right? Whether what it is that they do at that job, how well they do it, the company that they work for.
Yeah.
And to me, HR has the greatest opportunity to increase the level of engagement and satisfaction of 2/3 of people are disengaged at work statistically. And HR, to me, that's an indictment on the HR profession, and it's a tremendous opportunity as we're looking forward, as opposed to, it's on you that's happening. So people identify so much with what their work is, and they spend so much time doing it, right?
Yeah.
Time away from their family or doing things they like to do, playing the cello, playing golf, going to sporting events, whatever it might be.
Right.
And if you look at it in that regard, people gain so much spirit in when they're in the right spot. And I feel like that's a huge responsibility HR needs to take.
Yeah, I agree.
And steward that, as you said. And to me, that's why HR Like a Boss, this whole concept of like, let's get into owning what you do and impacting the people that you have responsibility over, and not taking that lightly.
Right.
It's a big responsibility. And
Absolutely.
when you do it right, oh my gosh, the impact you can have is tremendous.
Agreed. Absolutely.
So Cindy, I'll get you out of here on this. The book is HR Like a Boss, and it's the definition of it is actually different from everyone I speak with, just because of the way that the term is described and what HR means to people and what a boss means. So I'm curious, if you were to describe someone that does HR like a boss, what would that sound like?
Well, I think that's someone who is a strategic leader in the organization, right? I don't think that means level of leadership, but it's just strategic, right? Again, going back to my comments about engaging in the business and being a business person on top of the HR person. I think inspirational leadership is important as well, right? You have to lead by example, right? You can't just tell people what to do. They have to want to do it for you. So I think inspirational leadership is a big thing. You've got to inspire your team and your peers, but you should be inspiring others around you as well. I also think it's someone who has their pulse on the culture, has the pulse on the culture all the time, right? To be able to steward it, you have to know what the culture really is, not just what you say it is. I think a big piece of that work is diversity, equity, inclusion. That's been a big part of my work in my past as well, and certainly gaining more traction these days, as it should be, which is good. But I think, that's a part of having your finger on the pulse of the culture, is that work also. And then, this probably goes without saying, but you have to be an expert in HR. You have to know your business, right? You know the actual business of the company you're working for, but you also have to know your business as an HR leader, and you have to be an expert. You have to spend the time knowing the rules, or learning things and understanding the best ways to go about it. So that probably goes for any job, but I think it's very important for HR people to know their trade. So those would probably be the big points I'd hit on.
Yeah, certainly cover that actually in the book, that last point. It's paramountly important that even if you're doing all these other things, the business side of it well, and you don't have the competence in HR, that's going to be a struggle. Probably, hopefully there'll be a different spot for you in the organization, but knowing the foundational items, right? The compliance matters, and as you mentioned, payroll, benefits, kind of blocking and tackling aspects. So that's really cool. Well, you mentioned several things on today's show that I really appreciated. Once about the mentorship foundation you had from your teacher, cello teacher, in music. I thought that was really cool how that laid a foundation for confidence in your ability to achieve some of the things that you do. So kudos to whoever that was. And for those of you listening, the importance of those mentors in your life, as well as you providing mentorship to those that could use your counsel and advice. You defined HR as kind of the steward of the culture, so your responsibility of that, I really appreciated how you mentioned that, and providing guidance, so a guide and a counselor to your managers and to associates or employees. That trusted advisor, that servant leadership. Now we hear that quite a bit, but you're doing it, you're living it every day, so it's really cool to see. And the need for talent and as a main priority for an organization, and providing HR with that seat at the table, whether it be a physical seat or one that they're having close contact with you. And then last but not least, which is a big part of what the foundation, why this book is being written, is I first defined HR like a boss as a business person first that just so happens to practice HR. And you seem to have embodied that, and I really liked your inspirational aspect of that, if you can inspire people from your seat in HR, then you're really doing something right. And so I appreciate all of your kind words. You taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with me today, and I really enjoyed having you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You got it. Well, thank you to everyone for checking out today's episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share with a friend. And until next time, let's continue to aspire to do amazingly awesome HR.